Good day, golfers. Welcome to week 5 of our golf and fitness program. Marc-André Piette joining you from the Highlands Teaching and Fitting Center. A big week again this week. We're going to address alignment, which is another key component of the things that we're going to do before we swing. So we've talked so far about posture an awful lot, weight distribution, alignment, another big important thing that we must do properly every time before we swing. So first thing first, what is the most important thing that we need to line up? The answer is right here. So the club face. The club face is the number one thing that we must line up properly. This will dictate where the ball starts. So what we got to make sure we do is we have a clear understanding of what square looks like. So if I address this golf ball here, currently you can see that the grooves of my club face are parallel to this ball and parallel to those two alignment sticks, where this would be slightly open, this will be slightly closed, and this is perfectly square. So the very first thing we must do is understand what square looks like, and then make sure that our club face is square to our target line. The second thing we're going to do is line up our body parallel to our target line. And when I talk about the target line, it's the line the imaginary line that will be from the golf ball to our target and back. So that's the number one thing, our target line. Once that's done, and once our club face is parallel to that target line, we got to make sure that our body is parallel also to that target line. And our body, the lines of our body that we want to make sure are parallel are our feet, our knees, our hips, and also our shoulders. So most people have the tendency to have their shoulders slightly open this way from the target line, and what's going to happen with an open shoulders, it's going to promote the club to present itself from the outside, and that's going to create a left to right shot pattern in the air, also known as a fade or a slice. So again, make sure that first off your club face is lined up to the target line. Second part, you got to make sure that your feet are parallel to that target line, and then that your shoulders are also parallel to that target line. And from here I have a good setup, I know I'm square, and then I can swing. So that's it for alignment, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week, and Derek will follow up in the gym shortly with great exercises to help you be square.
Welcome back, CAF members. Derek Lacelle here, FSI TPI certified coach. We are back here with week 5 of your golf fundamentals and fitness program. This week we're going to go over the mobility and corrective exercises for horizontal alignment in your golf swing. So as Marc-André was mentioning, a lot of people tend to set up with an open posture towards the target, which will affect your backswing and your follow through. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide you with some exercises today that will allow to open up the shoulders, open up the chest, and open up the hips more, so that you're able to set up square and rotate through more easily without any problems. Okay, so today I'm going to bring you some new stuff. You're going to need some bands. Any kind of band will do. We have some thicker bands here to help with the stretching, but if you have a thinner band, that's fine too. We're going to do exercises that are called banded distractions. So we're actually going to create some room in the shoulder and the hip joint for those exercises today. So exercise number 1, or stretch number 1, we're going to use a moderately tense band. I'm using a barbell that's stuck in a rack here, but you can use anything that you can anchor a band to at home. So it can be a post, it can be a railing, something like that, something that you won't break, obviously, if you give a little bit of attention to. So the first one's going to be a chest opener. So with the chest opener, what we're looking to do is your attachment is going to be a little bit higher up on the post or on the railing or whatever's supporting it, so that when you're stretching, it's a downward angle. So in terms of the chest opener, I'm going to grab, I got my left hand in the band. I'm going to grab it so that the band is in my palm and around my wrist. And I'm going to step forward with the opposite leg. So my right leg goes forward. I'm going to try and reach away with that left shoulder. So I'm trying to rotate my left shoulder. And the important part here is try to externally rotate the palm. So turn your palm towards the ceiling. With a banded distraction, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and relax the shoulder as much as we can. You're gonna lean forward slightly, rotate open, exhale, and then relax. We're gonna lean forward to give some traction to the band. We're gonna rotate, so I'm trying to turn my left shoulder towards the right, and then relax, and we're gonna do that one more time, just for the demo purposes. We're gonna lean forward, rotate, left shoulder towards the right, and then relax. You should feel a nice stretch through the bicep, the front of the shoulder, and right into the chest. I want you to do that for 2 to 3 minutes per side, just coming in and out of the stretch. From there, we're gonna follow it up with something down the arm. So I'm just gonna take my band, I'm gonna bring it down my attachment, and now we're gonna stretch out the tricep. So externally rotated tricep stretch. So from here, I'm gonna use the same arm just for demo purposes because it's closer to the cameras. But what we're doing is we're grabbing it the same way. So palm's gonna be open, band around the back of the palm. I'm gonna squeeze that, and I'm gonna try and keep my palm facing the ceiling. From here, the band comes over top of my shoulders, and I'm gonna try and keep my elbow as close to my ear as possible. I'm gonna lift the elbow up towards the ceiling without letting the elbow flare out to the side. And then I'm gonna lean forward. So again, I can step forward with my opposite leg. Key here is to keep the core tight. So don't let the movement come from your lower back. We're just looking for a nice stretch in the tricep, and then you can come out of it. So again, palm face the ceiling, reach elbow up towards the ceiling, step forward, lean into the stretch. So you should feel a bigger stretch through lat and tricep. Keep the core tight so that you're not arching through the lower back, and then come out of it. Same thing with this one. 2 to 3 minutes per side is what you're gonna wanna do, just oscillating in and out of that position. Number 3, we got a posterior shoulder capsule stretch. So we're gonna look for a stretch in the back of the shoulder joint. This one, we're actually going to go across the body with the hand. So I'm gonna take my right hand, I'm anchored on the left side, I'm gonna hold it the same way, so band on the back of the wrist. From here, I'm gonna take a little bit of a wider stance in my golf stance, and what I'm gonna look to do is I'm going to look to bend the knees, keeping the arms straight. It's almost like I'm rotating into my golf swing, and then back out. Keeping the arms straight, I'm gonna rotate. As I rotate my hips and my shoulders, I should feel a nice stretch in the back of the shoulders, right through the upper mid back, and then relax. So make sure you have something that can support that pull so that you actually get a stretch in the back of the shoulder. Number 4, we got a hip hinge with lateral traction. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna put this down to around hip height. Now we're gonna step one leg into the band, and lateral just means the band's going to be pulling this way, so we're trying to create a little extra room in the hip joint laterally. So I'm gonna create some tension first. So I'm stepping away from my anchor point, starting tall, and then from here, as I have tension on the band, I'm gonna hinge back. The band is pulling my hip into a lateral direction, and then I'm gonna stand up. Hips go back. You'll feel a little bit more weight in the supporting leg, obviously, because you're working against that traction, but just allow the band to do its work where it pulls you towards the anchor point. So make sure you have enough tension on the band for that one to feel some lateral pulling of the hip. Number 5, we have a deep lunge, and we're gonna do some internal and external rotational flossing, we call it. Okay, so we got one leg in the band. For this one, you're going to come down into a lunge position. So just like this here. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to move this other band out of the way. I'm getting a stretch in the front hip, but at the same time, I'm going to rotate the opposite leg in and out. So getting a stretch in that front hip, I'm rotating the opposite leg in and out. But again, we're looking for a little bit more stretch in the front one. Opposite one, we're just working on a little bit of rotation in the internal and external position of the hip. Number 6, split stance hamstring. So we're going to bring the band up again to hip height. We're going to step one leg in. So I'll do the one closest to the camera so it's easiest to see. And what we're going to do here is we're going to step the hamstring back, split stance. You're thinking about pushing the hips forward and then back. Okay, so you can do this in two directions. I can do this way where the band is pulling forward. I can also do, this is a great one, just turn it around, split stance this way. So now the band is pulling back. So my front leg is my stabilizer. It's going to stay slightly bent, and my back leg is going to stay a little bit straighter to allow for that band to pull back and create some more space in the hip joint. Always just trying to create some traction, some space around the ball and socket joint. That's what we're doing for both the upper and lower portions of the body. Your last one today would be, this one we'll just anchor a little bit lower. So this one's going to be close to the ground when you anchor it. And this one's going to be for the hip. You'll also get some ankle traction in this one. So I'm just going to cross over, as you can see. Band comes around my ankle. I'm going to cross over so that my toes go between the band. And from here, supine. So I'm lying on the ground. Other knee can be bent, and all I'm trying to do is create some traction. So now the band is pulling down. It's creating some space in the joint, pulling my hip downwards. And at the same time, I'm just going to try and turn my toe in for internal rotation and turn my toe out for external rotation. So you can move your body a little bit side to side, but think a little bit more moving from the hip. So those are 7 exercises. They're called banded distractions. They're great for creating some space in those ball and socket joints, which will allow you to more easily rotate your shoulders, rotate your hips, so that when you're lining up towards the golf ball in your address position, you don't have to feel like you're set up open. You can set up square and rotate more easily through the golf swing. See you next time for the corrective exercises for your horizontal alignment.